Hello everyone and welcome back to another Universe Sandbox video, and today we're going to be doing another episode of the evolution and history of Universe Sandbox. So if you've not checked out the first part, which released earlier this week, make sure to definitely go ahead and check that video out first before watching this one, as in that episode we go all the way into the original game and just see how different things were all the way back in the year 2008. So moving on from that video now, we are now in the Universe Sandbox 2, the oldest version that I can access, which is Alpha 11.3, so we actually did a video on this recently, but today we're going to be having a quick hop through Alpha 11, probably all the way up to Alpha 14 or 15, and we're just going to see how things have changed and evolved over time. But before we get into Alpha 11, I'm just going to go over a bit of history of Universe Sandbox 2 now. So looking at the, I've been on the history of the Universe Sandbox notes, and all of their old archives, and looking all the way back to roughly January 2010. That's when Universe Sandbox 2 was roughly announced, and then I believe the game we know, this released roughly around 2015 on Steam, but I believe it was available obviously to purchase from the website directly, but obviously it was added to Steam a little later. So we're roughly sitting in the year 2014 when this version of the game is released. So this is Alpha 11.3 here. I can't actually find the developer notes for Alpha 11, but I can for Alpha 12, and I know Alpha 12 was roughly November or like late 2014 basically was Alpha 12. So Alpha 11 must have released sometime around then. So I've got the notes up, and yeah, I'm in November 2014, and yeah, this is when Alpha 12 was released in November 3rd. So we know that Alpha 11 is definitely before November the 3rd, 2014. So yeah, we're roughly at the end of the year 2014 now. So we've taken a bit of a jump from last episode to today's video, but unfortunately I can't access the really old versions of Universe Sandbox 2, unfortunately. So this is the furthest back we can go. But straight away, comparing this to the original game, we can see it looks a lot different. The background, there is no Milky Way background currently. We can see the interface completely new and fresh. If we just have a look at all the objects, though, still completely unknown to what we have today. If we just look at the planets, we can go to chart mode. So let's just line warp up in radius. So where are we? Okay. So let's just see what all the objects look like. And I believe, does the sun have any sound effect? No, it doesn't seem to have a sound effect this time, like it did in the original game, which is really cool. But one thing we did notice in the previous video when we checked out this version was the sunspots. Now they aren't in the game, like in the current version of the game, and there's something I'd like to see return. I have to say, I think that's just a nice little feature just to have that there. I mean, if we click play, does it no, I can't even use the play button actually. Oh, there you go. Okay, no, it's just hidden in the sunlight. Okay, so if I click play, let's just zoom out a little further. I can't actually see it, so play. I know we're going a little too fast for it, but yeah, the sunspots, they all obviously go around with the star, but it's cool. I definitely would like to see sunspots added back into the game, because obviously they're not really in the game at the moment. You can't really see them. So just looking at the planets, you can see they roughly all look the same, or I say the same. You can see they actually do look a little different to their present day forms. I've got to say, I quite like the way Neptune looks in this version. Uranus as well. I think the version in the current game, or current version, is a lot better than what it looks like here. I think the version here looks way too blue, and it almost looks like a Neptune copy, which is pretty crazy. Obviously onto the inner planets, we can see Earth and Venus. Obviously you can look through its atmosphere. Mars looks fairly similar to the way it does today, just with a more reddish atmosphere. We can see the old texture of Mercury as well, the more brownish shade, and then onto the dwarf planets, so we can just see Eris, Pluto there. On all the dwarf planets are all just basically white objects. They don't really have any sort of unique textures or anything, so you can see they're just kind of all like placeholder textures, I guess. So we'll see all the main planets are all fine, but yeah, the dwarf planets are slightly different. So you can see evolution obviously from the previous game. Neptune no longer has the dark spot, which is a shame. I have to say, I really would like to see the dark spot make an appearance in Universe, or in the current version of Universe Sandbox. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, we can see obviously massive texture changes compared to the original game, because remember, this game is built on an entirely different engine, I believe, to the original Universe Sandbox, so it's a whole lot different, completely built differently from scratch, which is pretty cool. But if we just go back out of chart, how do we standard? Okay, there we go. So we click this button. Okay, so that takes us back to the normal mode. But if we just look in the add button, for instance, there's a whole lot more stuff you can do compared to the original game. So let's see, can you make like random? Oh, so you can have random. So you can now have random planets, because in the original game these weren't available. So if we just look at let's actually have a look at some random planets, for example. So orbit, please. Okay, so we're going to put them just roughly in the orbit of Earth. We'll put some closer to the sun as well, but I just want to have a rough indicator of what the random planets look like back in this version of the game. So, okay, let's just let things run for a bit. So I'm just going to go to Earth. I'm going to attempt to colonize one of these. So let's also open up the interface of each planet. So if we have a look here, the atmospheres do look a little weird in this version, don't they, I have to say. But okay, so here we are. So this is all you can do. There isn't really any customization you can do. You literally can only change atmosphere. You can't change the visuals or anything like that. But one thing we are going to do is hydrogen, silicate, water. This file contains a lot of water, so we are going to lower that down. And let's also slow down time. How do I do that? Okay, so you press this button here, so that slows things down. So I do want to lower the water amounts so we can get a bit of surface on this planet. So, okay, let's just spam click a bit, just let the surface appear. Okay, so we've got a bit of surface there. So we can see it's roughly a white surface. What I'm going to try and do is change it to a gas giant and see if I can reset the surface texture, try and make it look any different. Oh, it doesn't even look like you can do it in this version of the game. Okay, good to know, because in newer versions it would normally change the texture, but obviously that doesn't do that yet in this version. Okay, interesting. So obviously if we had the water back, you can't really, in the terms of customization, obviously you can't do much at all. It looks like I may have ruined it a bit, turned it into a gas object, so if I speed up time, we need it to obviously melt. Okay, there we go, so it's melted. And obviously we just need to, okay, so we just need to get the water in the correct sort of amount really. So let's just get a bit of land, bit of ocean. So just clicking a bit carefully, let it speed up a bit. Where's our water? Okay, so there we go. So you can see there's definitely water on the surface there. It's obviously frozen water. Temperature-wise, what are we sitting at? -70. So if I put it to 0 degrees, let's see what it does. Okay, so it still gets too cold, but you can see the clouds obviously appear. So we need to change the atmosphere. So where are we? Atmosphere. Okay, temperature. So if I just give it surface pressure of 1 atm, just like Earth. So hopefully that will give it what it needs to warm up a bit. So let's just put it to 0. No, it's still getting a bit cold. Okay, so let's just increase our ATM a bit more. Okay, so that puts it into the positive temperatures. So we should start to see this ocean turn more blue. And it looks like it is already, which is cool. So there you go. And that's pretty much it in terms of customization. Like, you couldn't do anything else other than this back in Alpha 11. I mean, that was it. You couldn't change the atmosphere colors, obviously, in-game. I don't know if you could mod the files at this point. I'm assuming you could. But we're talking about the bog standard game, no file editing here. This is basically all you could do in terms of customization as far as I know. There isn't any color options. You can't change the color of the land yet. You can't change the color of the atmosphere, the oceans, any of that. You can't do any of that yet. You can obviously turn atmosphere on and off, which is nice. You've still got the old display modes, which have been in the game for quite a while. So those are still all there. Hide rotation, that's an interesting button. Huh. That could be quite cool to have in the current game, I have to say. That's pretty cool. Okay, so what else have we got? So orbs, also you've got all the orbital settings. Also all the normal radius settings there. You've got position lock, that's in the game still. Temperature's looking good. But yeah, I like it. Okay, cool. So there's a rough indicator of a colonized world. Then we already saw what a frozen world looks like. So what about a planet that's quite hot? So let's see. So we've got one with a red atmosphere here, a red random spawn. So I want to get a planet with like a crazy greenhouse effect. So I want to have something that's just like stupidly hot. So let's do this. So ATM, let's go up to Venus levels, but closer to the sun here. So let's go to 90. So that will obviously really increase it. But look at the lava and obviously the high temperature worlds. They look a lot different to the way they do in the game currently, and are completely different to the way they did in the original game as well. So we can see, yeah, a lot of evolution going on here. So yeah, it does look pretty cool. So that's roughly what a hot object looks like in the game. But one more thing I'd like to also highlight. We did it in the video when we checked out this version of the game as well. If I go to, where was it, Earth. And then one thing which I think is a really cool feature, and I would love to see this in like the current game. So let's just slow things down a bit. Okay, so here's Earth. Just a little more. Okay, and then one thing that you could do back in this version is if you increase the mass and just went, we'll just buff it up straight to, I don't know, a Jupiter. Okay, so 10 Jupiters, okay, that's fine. But if you just increased it further from Jupiters, you would start to get this really cool effect like this, where you can see it's still got the surface below, but it's starting to get the gas giant clouds. And I've got to say, I would love to see this added back into the game, because currently you can't do this in the current version of the game. But this is such a cool little neat feature with the transformation of a rocky to a gas giant. I think it's such a cool little effect. And obviously as you increase the mass, it gets more and more red, as maybe the process of fusion may start up. And obviously if you keep increasing the gas giant, It becomes almost like a brown dwarf-like object at this point, which is really, really cool. I'd love to see this with being able to transform rocky planets into gas giants, like a transition between the rocky appearance and then the gas appearance. I think that's really, really cool. And obviously, if you continue to increase it, it would eventually go even more red and eventually pop into a star. I'd love to see that in the current game. I think that is really, really cool. And obviously, looking at the stars, well, any sunspots on this one? Doesn't look like there is, but yeah, there you go. Oh, no, there is one. Okay, there you go. Would be cool to see the sunspots back as well, but there's just a rough sort of view of Alpha 11.3. And one thing we'll do as well, we will look at a collision. So let's go to a new simulation and also just look at the interface itself. So there's obviously a few more, way more options than there was before. And looking at the settings menu as well, a lot more settings than there was in the original game, obviously. So there's just a rough indicator. Obviously, you've got graphics now, which is cool. We're on high. But yeah, it's still not as much as we know and love today, but yeah, still not a nice sort of indicator. So the glows button as well, I remember that. So does that? That doesn't seem to actually really do anything here. Okay, so we've got particles, render mode, all of that stuff. But yeah, we'll leave that be. So we'll go into a new simulation here. Let's just have a look at collisions, because we saw in the last game, the collisions were quite sort of bland, really. They just kind of combined together. There wasn't really much particles. But Universe Sandbox 2 has always been one for having its particle effects. So let's just have a roughly Earth versus Mars. I just want to put no motion, please. Let's just slow down time as well. Place Mars there. Good old Mars versus Earth. Okay, so let's see how these guys collide in Universe Sandbox 2 now compared to the original game. So here we are. So we're going in here and we can see straight away, look at the particle effects. I mean, compared to the original game, look how much of a step forward this is compared to the original game. The original game, you practically made a little collision mark, but you didn't have any of the particles or anything. I mean, look at the detail here compared to what you had in the original game. I mean, that is such a huge improvement, and it's just crazy. It is so cool how much this game has evolved. But yeah, there you go. So there's a rough collision sort of how collisions looked in the original game. You can see the lavary surface looks very, very weird to what we know today. But yeah, there you are. So obviously, poor old Earth has been absolutely beaten up here. So there it is. It looks like its surface texture just changed as well. And yeah, that's all that's left of it now. So I mean, look at the state of that. Craters and everything. So, okay, there we are. It's also got some remaining fragments orbiting dangerously close. But I think what we'll do as well, we'll throw a gas giant in there for a collision as well. So we'll use good old Neptune here. I'm going to place it there. So that will slowly drag the Earth towards it. And let's see a gas giant sort of collision in this as well. So here we are. Craters do look pretty cool, but yeah, there you are. So let's see Earth versus Neptune now. So you can see straight away the gas giant collisions. It makes different particles, and there you go. Looking really cool. The gas giant has like a glowing effect on it as well, but yeah, there you are. So let's speed up time a little more. Just let that all end off. Look back onto Neptune. You also see there's collision marks on Neptune now as well. But yeah, there you are. So that is a brief sort of overview of how the game has changed from the original game all the way up to Universe Sandbox 2 Alpha 11.3. But with all that said and done, now we're going to take a jump. Hopefully we can make a jump to Alpha 12. So see you guys on the other side. Okay everyone, so welcome to Alpha 12.5 here, and as we can see straight away, compared to the version we were just in Alpha 11, we can already see some changes have happened here. So just looking at the notes here, we can see they're actually talking about Alpha 13 at this point. So this is December 25th, 2014, that's where we are now. So yeah, we're still in Alpha 12, but yeah, they're just talking about Alpha 13 hasn't actually released yet. So Alpha 12. Let's have a look around. So here we can see the Milky Way background has now been implemented into the game. So the first sort of iteration of it right here. Looking at the sun as well. The sunspots are still here as well. So we can see they were in Alpha 12. But the main thing in this update, I can now actually read the update notes of this. So there's a brand new look to the create, add and chart panels, which now use thumbnail tiles instead of text lists, which is really cool. And there's also some creation tools, rogue planet encounters, randomized solar systems, material grids. And this also has reworked collision fragments and supernovas, which are in this version as well. Okay, so there's just a brief overview, but straight away, if we just look at the add button here, check it out. The first iteration of having all the objects kind of listed here. So look at that. How cool is that? So obviously you got all the bowling balls, but the interface is still on the left-hand side of the screen as well. So yeah, pretty good stuff there. We can see obviously Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, all the planets there. So let's just have a brief look of the planets as well. Let's see if any of the textures have changed and stuff. So we've still got the interface, like I said, on the left-hand side of the screen, which is quite unusual for what we're used to. So onto the planets themselves, we can see, yeah, they still... oh, no, there has been some changes. No, if we look here, slow down time, we can see, I think Jupiter and Saturn, I think they look like their present day forms now. I think they pretty much look like the way they do now, but we can also see Neptune and Uranus. They look more like they used to as well. Look, Uranus has had a complete overhaul compared to its previous version in update 11. We can see it's way more sort of lighter blue than the deep blue it had before. So we can see changes with Uranus and Neptune. Neptune looks more like it does in the current version of the game as well. But yeah, Uranus has obviously had a change to its older texture here. So not obviously the current texture, but yeah, that was a texture we had for a long time. Obviously onto the inner planets, we can see they look fairly the same. So they're all there. We can see Pluto and Eris, all the dwarf planets, they still have all that white bland texture. But yeah, there we are. So let's quickly go out of chart mode now, back to standard mode. Okay, there we are. So let's hop out here. So okay, so yeah, alpha 12.5. Right, good. So let's go into a new simulation. We can see the menu and the interface still looks fairly similar to the way it does before. Obviously, we've got this new sort of area here. Oh, got some of my sims here. I'm not going to open those because they will crash the game because they're from newer versions, so that would really mess things up. Let's have a look at the galaxy collision. Okay, so does it actually run? We can see it's struggling to run. I mean, can it go any faster? No, it doesn't look like it wants to run, really. Okay, so the galaxy simulation is so laggy in this version of the game, it doesn't look like it wants to run, but yeah, there we are. So you can see the galaxies, they're looking obviously a lot different to the way they did in the original game. Comparing that to the original game in the previous video, the galaxies have had a massive overhaul. And yeah, they do look completely different now. But let's hop out of that and let's actually look into the, go to a new simulation here. And we're going to do the same collision we did before with Earth and Mars. And we're going to see how things have changed. Because this update said about it was changing the way collisions were. So had new particle effects and things. So we're going to place Mars here and do, yeah, the same collision we did before. And then we'll throw Neptune in afterwards as well. We'll use these as our three sort of dummy planets. So here we go. Earth versus Mars in the next update on from 11. So here we are. Okay, so let's see what we got. Oh. What the heck is that? What happened there? Okay, so we can see Alpha 12 may be a bit buggy. Oh no, so the Earth is still there. It's just gone invisible. How bizarre is that? Let's try that again. So Earth versus Mars. There you go. Okay, let's try that again. So let's see if that was just a one-time thing or if it is a genuine bug in this version of the game. So let's have a look. No, it looks like whenever the Earth... Yeah, so the Earth is still there. It's just invisible. So it did destroy the Mars, but we can see it didn't create any collision effects and Earth has just gone invisible now. So let's try a new simulation again. Let's try Earth versus Neptune this time. So spawn the Earth here. And fun fact as well, if you look at the Earth carefully, not all of its oceans are filled in. You can see some of the areas, the water level's lower there, so that's pretty weird. Let's spawn Neptune in again. Let's watch this. No, okay, so collisions in update 12 seem to be completely broken, which is quite crazy. So we can't actually get to show off those collision physics, unfortunately. Just looking at the interfaces as well, we'll quickly just go to a new simulation again. And we will, actually one thing I want to try as well, I'm going to run the performance test. I want to see if that simulation has changed at all, or is there a different version here. So let's have a little brief look of what we get in here. So let's see how this runs. Okay, so this is, you see this in this model. I'm not sure, the camera's moving a lot different to the way it does in the current run test, or the test you get in the current game. But you can see, yeah, the textures and stuff, the graphics. This version is definitely more laggy than versions we know from the future, so pretty crazy stuff there. We can see the galaxy collision is a really slow simulation here, and you can see it's very choppy as well. That's not the recording lag, and the game generally is being really laggy here, which is pretty hectic stuff. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so collisions with the moon. So do the collisions actually work? Okay, so they do work. Okay, so here's a bit of a taste of what the collisions look like since we couldn't get it to work. So okay, there you are. So you can see, yeah, the collisions, they do make yeah, they look pretty cool. So there you are, and obviously comparing it to the previous version of the game, there's not as many particles, but obviously they are smaller objects here, so that's to be expected. Okay, so what we got next? Okay, there you go. Right, so that's the end of that. But one last thing I want to check out is just the interfaces here. So let's just see if there's any other options you can do. So you can, climate. Okay, so this option wasn't here before, so that's obviously changed, or given the atmosphere and all that its own menu now, compared to what it was before. So there you are. And also climate mode. This wasn't in the previous version of the game either, on Earth. So if you obviously turn that on and off, I'm sure some people will remember this feature. That would just enable the snow and stuff on Earth. So you had that there. Materials. you had organics, water, iron, silicate, and hydrogen. But if you look closely in Alpha 11, like we just saw, carbon dioxide has been removed. In the previous version, in Alpha 11, which we just showed, there was the 6 elements, but now there's only 5. So you've got organics, iron, water, silicate, hydrogen. But carbon dioxide has disappeared, so we can see carbon dioxide has been out the game for a long time. So, yeah, there you go. So there's a good old organics, obviously water, hydrogen in there as well. But yeah, no more carbon dioxide. That is now being removed from the game. And I've got to say, I would like to see it return. And maybe organics, because organics aren't in the game currently either. It would be nice to see those elements return and give us a few more elements to play around with. But yeah, there you are. So there's a brief view of Update 12. Obviously, I've not shown everything, but we're going over sort of the key features of the game. So that is Alpha 12. So now we're going to make the jump to Alpha 13. Okay everyone, so welcome to Update Alpha 13 now, and I've just got the notes up here. So we're now in the year 2015. This was posted in February the 6th of February 2015 here, and yeah, this is Alpha 13, the biggest update yet. So it says overhauled collisions, Mars climate, planetary cutways, tidal heating and evolution, working orbital element controls, a better looking UI, and much more. So it's our biggest update, and the update we spent the most time on. Okay, pretty cool. So yeah, Mars now has its own climate mode added to the game, which is pretty cool. And obviously the collisions and stuff here, this should be quite interesting. So let's have a little look and play around. So straight away you can see down here, the feature of using the numbers on your keyboard will now launch objects into the simulation. So we can see I'm throwing objects as I'm clicking the buttons here, wherever I point the mouse, which is pretty cool. So if I press number 8, it fires another sun in. So as we can see, that's immediately going to cause trouble. So let's see what it does. Oh, you can see it's pulling the other sun as well. It's probably going to create a supernova here. I mean, that's not looking good. And they're just going to go slap bang straight into each other and causing a massive collision. And there's a taster of a supernova in the old version of the game as well. So there you are. Looking good. And we can see obviously the Milky Way background is returned for this version as well. What does this button do here? Okay, so that you can open and close that, which is quite cool. Okay. Add menu, let's see here. Okay, so this is looking briefly the same as what it did before as well. No changes there. But yeah, this update was mainly about the collisions. So we're going to go ahead and have a look into a new simulation again. And we'll also run a performance test as well. So we'll have a little look here and just see how the game is run. So if we remember the last one, the performance test gave us a score of 32. So let's see what it does this time and see how the game is improved. It's looking less choppy already, actually. We can see it's the same animation as it did before with the camera. So let's just see how this runs compared to the previous ones. We can see here, okay, so this one's a little laggy, but I think that's to be expected because there is a lot of objects in this little simulation here with the Earth and all these moons. So let's just see how that runs. Okay, there you go. Okay, in the next simulation, the galaxy collision is looking way smoother. Look at that. Look how the game has improved just in one update alone, all the way from Alpha 12 to 13. You can see straight away they're running way better there. And here we have the moon collisions again, so we can have a brief taster of the collisions in this version of the game. So you can see straight away they're creating more particles than they did before. So let's see how that all goes together. There you are. Okay, all the game's lagging a bit with those collisions there. Okay, so there you go. So you can see, yeah, the collisions are looking smoother, I think, than the previous version as well in Update 12. So there you are. There's a good look of that. Okay, so what have we got next? Okay, so we got 32 again, the exact same score in the next version. But I gotta say, it definitely looked way less choppy. I could definitely see improvements there. But yeah, moving on. So we're gonna look at Earth again. We're gonna do the Earth versus Mars and see if it works. Oh, Earth's a little frozen here. That's weird. Right, so Earth versus Mars. Okay, so slow down time. Place Mars there. Okay, let's see how things roll. We want it in still, please. No, we need to delete that one. Still. Let's place Mars there. Close this. Delete that one. Okay, here we go. So Earth versus Mars. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so speed up the time a little bit. We can see the game's a little laggy, but let's let it run. Okay, slow down time a bit. Hopefully we actually get a collision this time compared to the previous update. So let's see them collide together here. And yes, we can see already the collision is working. It's creating, I'll see all the normal collision effects. Oh, got some explosions going on as well as Mars gets engulfed by the Earth. I like how the collisions show up on this bit here as well. I think that's really, really cool up here, so you can see it all going down. But yeah, there you are. So there is a Mars versus Earth collision. You can see, comparing it to update 11 where we started, you can see it's looking a lot cooler. But one thing that's quite funny, I think, is that snow or is that clouds that you can see on the surface? I'm assuming that's clouds, because I think that would be quite funny if it is snow. But yeah, there you are. Okay, so Earth completely boiling hot after that collision. But yeah, there you are. So you can see the collision obviously works this time compared to Alpha 12 there. So yeah, there's a good indicator of what Alpha 13 can do. Again, we will take a quick little peek at the material. So you can see organics, iron, water, silicate, hydrogen. Obviously no carbon dioxide still, that's been removed. Customization wise, obviously there's still nothing. Still no terms of customization. There's no color options, nothing. So there you go there. Go back into a new simulation. Actually, no, I want to go back to the solar system. I just want to see the solar system itself here. Okay, so I just want to have a quick view of all the planets again. I want to see if there's been any texture changes and stuff like that. So let's have a little lineup of radius mode, please. Okay, there we are. Okay, so onto the planets themselves. And also looking at the sun. Where are the... Okay, so the sunspots are still there. So you can see there's a sunspot there. So sunspots are still in Alpha 13, which is pretty cool. Okay, and also onto the planets themselves. Obviously, Jupiter, Saturn looking the same as they do. Neptune and Uranus, yeah, they all look the same. But Earth and Venus obviously still look a whole lot different to their present-day counterparts. All of the inner planets do, really. The gas giants have been the same for a long time, really, but the inner planets still look different. Obviously, the dwarf planets, no random textures for these guys yet. They're all just frozen up still, so pretty interesting stuff there. But yeah, there we go. So there's a brief overview of Alpha 13. So we can see also... I believe this is the first incarnation of city lights, I want to say. I don't remember seeing city lights in the previous versions. I may be wrong on that, so correct me in the comments if I am wrong, but I think this may be the first time we see city lights, and you can see straight away they don't look as detailed as they do as we know them today. You can see there's way less lights as well, but yeah, the city lights do not look that detailed. But yeah, city lights have made their first appearance in this version now, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, there we go. So that does it for Alpha 13.1. So we're going to finish up today's video in Alpha 14, guys. Let's go ahead and see what we've got. Okay, everyone. So now, welcome to update Alpha 14. We're now in February 28th, 2015, so it's only a few weeks after the previous update, which is pretty interesting as well. So yeah, we're now in Alpha 14.1, and again, we got the same sort of greeting as we have for the last few updates. So this update, if I'm just looking at the notes here, so it says lots of bug fixes, a total first pass on total fragmentation, re-enabled exploder tool, better performance for slower machines, etc, etc. And there's also last update was just talking about Alpha 13 here. So this update 14 seems to have it's more of a bug fix update. So we'll just have a little peek and just see how things run here. So we can see again looking at the sun, have a little peek. So the sunspots, they are still there. There is a sunspot there. So the sunspots do retain their appearance in this update. If we look at Earth as well, I want to have a little peek at the city lights as well. So let's see there, the city lights still look very basic. Okay, cool. Right, and then the one thing I want to do again is run performance tests. I want to see what sort of performance we get from this version, as this version was supposed to be an overhaul. So let's just see how this version of the run, so we can see the same old performance tests that we know for the previous updates. So we're going to see how this all runs and see sort of what score we get. So it's this simulation here, it seems to be the most laggy of them all. So I'd be quite interested to see how this performs. I want to say it's performing better though, so we'll have to see what the result gives us at the end. Okay, next up we've got the galaxy collision again, so we can see that's looking pretty smooth to me. So they're all combining there nicely. Okay, so Milky Way and Andromeda. And then lastly we have the collisions with the moon here. So let's see how this runs. So we can see collisions. Let's see if there's any changes. I mean, they look fairly similar to the previous update. So let's just see. Yeah, I want to say collisions look fairly similar to the way they did in the previous update. So yeah, it looks like this update's mainly just a bug fix update here, so Alpha 14, so we probably won't spend too much time as we finish up today's video in this version. So let's see what else we've got as well. Okay, so 34, so we can see the average score 34 this time, so we can see the previous versions gave us 32, so we've had a little increase there, which is quite nice. So let's see what else we've got. I mean, I think all the planets, I think they're still going to look all the same here. There we are, but one thing I want to try as well, I want to see if any of the like the dwarf planets, I want to keep an eye on the dwarf planets in their textures. So Pluto, we can still see frozen, just yeah, all the dwarf planets still look exactly the same. Interesting stuff there. But yeah, there we are. So let's quickly go into a new simulation again. I will run the same old tests we've been doing. So Earth versus Mars once more. Let's just place that in still here. Place that there. Yep, that still looks fairly, I know I did run it faster, but that still looks pretty much the same as it did before. Then we'll place a Neptune in here as well. And there's the collision with the gas giant. So the gas giant collision. Ooh. Whoa. Okay, that's different. The way the gas giant collision heated up there. Okay. So let's actually run that. How does that cool down then? Let's have a little... Okay, there you go. Okay, so there's Neptune again. Okay, interesting. So that did increase. Fairly weird there. So, oh, so this is new. Okay, so what did I press there? I pressed... What did I actually press? High toolbar. I don't even know how I brought that menu up. But I just opened a little menu there, so that's quite cool. So we can see... Oh, okay, so you just click on one of the objects and then you can launch anything, I guess? Oh, you can pick custom presets. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Ah, okay, that's pretty cool. So if I press number 4, it'll launch a Venus. Ah, nice. So you can click custom presets for which key on the keyboard. So you also get keys 1 to 8 there. That's quite cool, actually. I like that. Cool. Okay, so there we are. So, gosh, I don't know what that... You see that little spot on it there? Little shadow. I wonder what that's all about. One more thing I want to try as well is, before we finish up today's video, I want to see if that simulation... Or not that simulation, I say. I want to see if, when you add stuff to the Earth, more mass, I want to see if it has that cool gas giant phase again. So let's finish up with that today. So let's slow down things again. Obviously, we're just going to put it straight up to 10 Jupiters, and then we'll just increase them there. 10, yep. Okay, and then just continue to add mass. So let's see if we get that cool gas giant. No! Okay, so that cool phase where it becomes into like a gas giant, that's gone. That's been removed. So we can see it was removed at some point in between Alpha 11 and Alpha 14. But I gotta say, it's been gone such a long time. But it's such a cool little feature, and I would love to see it return. I have to say, it's such a cool little thing. So there we go. That's all ruined. But obviously, again, if we try it, it just turns it straight into a gas giant with no cool heating effects or anything like that, which is a shame. I have to say, I would really like to see that feature make a return, I have to say. And yeah, guys, let us know what you think down below in the comments about that as well. And yeah, massive thank you to the developers as well for the previous video as well, as they did check it out. And yeah, they told me a few things and stuff, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, they actually checked it out, which is really, really cool. So yeah, massive thank you to them if they're watching this video as well. But yeah, with that all said and done, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, hit that like button. Let's see if we can go for 50 likes for episode 2 of the Evolution and History of Universe Sandbox. And yeah, stay tuned for next video where we'll be starting in Alpha 15, which I think may have been the first version I started playing in. I'm not sure. I'll have to wait and see for that. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys all have a great day. Leave a like I said. Subscribe for more. Helps in the journey to 30,000 subscribers. And yeah, guys, make sure you have a great day. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.